All right, we're gonna palpate the wrists and the hand bony landmarks first. So we're gonna start with the ulna. So in anatomical position, the ulna is on the pinky side right here, and the radius is on the thumb side. And then the head of the ulna is right here, and then the head of the radius is over here. And then the styloid process of the ulna is down here, and then the styloid process of the radius is down on this side. And then the anatomical snuff box, if she turns her hand around and extends her thumb like that, it's this little region right here. It's like you kind of see it on some people if they're really skinny. This scaphoid is one of the carpal bones right above the thumb. And then the rest of the carpal bones there's 8 of them. They're in between the metacarpals in your hand and then the radius and ulna, which are right here. So they're like right here, your wrist bones, essentially. And then we have the metacarpal bones, which are your hand bones. There's like one right here, there's 5. They're just these bones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the phalanges, there's also 5 of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those are separated in proximal and distal and middle. For most of them, proximal, middle, distal, and then for the thumb, it's only proximal, distal. Now we're gonna start with the muscles. So we're gonna do the extensors first. So that is on this side. She turns her hand around from anatomical position. They extend the wrist like this. So the extensor carpi radialis longus is the first one, the most medial. And it does extension of the wrists, abduction of the wrists, and weak flexion of the elbow, and then weak pronation. Then the extensor carpi radialis brevis is the next one medially, and that one does extension of the wrist, abduction of the wrist, and weak flexion of the elbow. The extensor digitorum is the next one, and that does extension of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th phalanges at the metacarpophalangeal joints, extension of the wrist and weak extension of the elbow. And then our last one, the most lateral, the extensor carpi ulnaris near the ulna, does extension of the wrist, adduction of the wrist, and weak extension of elbow. If she turns her arm around in anatomical position, these are our flexors. They generally flex the wrist like this. So the most medial one is the ulnaris. It's the flexor carpi ulnaris. That does flexion of the wrist, adduction of the wrist, and weak flexion of the elbow. Then the palmaris longus is the middle one. That does flexion of the wrist and weak flexion of the elbow. And then the one most laterally near the radius is the flexor carpi radialis. That does flexion of the wrists, abduction of the wrists, weak flexion of the elbow, and weak pronation of the forearm.